What's poppin' gamers, it is me Leon with a brand new 11 quick tips video. Hold on a minute. That's right, this week we're finally going to talk about a very highly requested topic. It's been on my mind for a long time now and it is finally here, a video on interiors. Many people really don't like making interiors. They prefer to make a cool looking exterior and just leave it at that. And I completely understand. When another person looks at your build, they're mainly going to be looking at it from the outside. But let's not forget about our interiors. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your interiors from bland to amazing. We're going to go through a wide variety of styles for building inspiration. And as you probably saw in the title of the video, 7 tips just wasn't enough for me. So we're going to expand this week's video into a massive 11 tips for interior design. Enough talk, let's get down to business and kick off this extra special video, 11 quick tips for interiors in Minecraft. Thank you to Super Duper and Sam Batman Gaming for the video ideas, as well as everyone who voted in my poll from a few months ago. 1. The scale of your build is gonna affect everything else. To be honest, this is one of the first things you should consider when starting any Minecraft build, but it is extra important in your interior. I've talked about this one before, but let me give you guys a quick little rundown. Every Minecraft build has to find a balance between being the right scale to the player and having enough detail to look exactly the way that you want it to. If you make builds that are proportioned to the size of the player, that means it would be the right height and width for a person that's the same height as the Minecraft player to actually use. But a lot of builds often end up being bigger than this because it's easier to build in certain styles or add in details when you build larger. Let's take a look at a tiny little example. On the left here we have a table and chair that's scaled to the player. If the player could sit, they would be able to sit in this chair comfortably and eat at this table comfortably. On the right we've got a much more detailed and arguably more realistic table and chair, but it's way too big for the player to actually use. They would be like a little baby sitting in a high chair and eating at a huge table. It just wouldn't work. So when you're building, find a point along this range that you're the most comfortable with. Personally, I find myself building more on the player accurate scale, but there are plenty of amazing builders out there that choose to overlook the scale of the player to make their wild ideas come out more accurately in game. 2. Plan the outside of your build to accommodate 2 block thick walls. This is a really easy trick that a lot of people have never even thought about. In basically any house, apartment, or other kind of building in the real world, the interior and exterior walls are made of different materials. It's not the kind of thing that people think about, but it's everywhere. Like, check this out. Here is a window in my apartment. You can clearly see that the inside is made of white drywall, and the minute we get to the other side of the window, we're looking at rough brick. If you do the same thing in Minecraft, you can create an exterior and an interior that are made of different materials, and you're not limited by the shape of the outer wall when making your inner rooms. It's honestly such a big improvement, and you won't even know it until you try. If you use 2 block thick walls, make sure to leave enough space inside for all your decorations. You're technically losing a block of space on all of your walls, so just keep that in mind. And if you want to get some great inspiration for interior decor, keep watching. We've got a lot of that coming up. 3. Figure out what style you're going for and match up the interior design accordingly. Like what I was just talking about with scale a little bit earlier, the building aesthetic that you choose also affects the interior. If you're making a huge gothic medieval castle, you want the interior design to feel cold, hard, and drafty. But on the other hand, a frontier log cabin should feel warm, inviting, and cozy. These kind of ideas go hand in hand with the block palette that you're choosing for your build. When you're deciding on blocks for the exterior, try and imagine a really rough idea of what the interior is going to look like and plan for that too. For example here, I'm using the big clockwork fortress that you've probably seen me put together in the past few videos. If you haven't, check it out, it's really dope. Obviously this is a big stone fortress, so we're probably going to have medieval and steampunk decor on the interior. I'm thinking things like candles, copper decorations, darker wood colors, and of course a lot of deep slate and stone. 4. Don't feel that you need to use the entire interior space. Oftentimes your build is going to be a weird shape. Let's be honest, most of the things we build come out looking all wacky and wonky, and that's perfectly fine. But you don't have to force that weirdness into a functional interior. There is absolutely nothing wrong with leaving out a couple empty spaces in your build. It's kind of more realistic too. Once in a while, not every square inch of a house is going to be filled up with interior. You've got random You've got random crawl spaces and load-bearing areas that aren't actually rooms but still part of the house. Usually what I do in Minecraft is I light up these empty bits so mobs don't show up, and then if there are any windows to the outside, I block them out with black concrete. 5. Leave room for windows and natural light. And speaking about windows, let's talk about how they work with your interiors. Most likely you'll want windows of some kind in your build. That's pretty normal. What we gotta figure out is how to make it work with our 2-block thick walls. When you've got 2 blocks of area to work with, you can get pretty creative with your window designs. Check out these oak trapdoors lined up in a square pattern perfect for a modern house. Or you could put fences in front of some glass panes for something that looks a little bit more rustic. Any sort of modern or futuristic interior needs a lot of light, and while you can get that with light blocks, there's no real replacement for natural light. Number 6. Try adding in a baseboard around your interior walls. This one is a really easy building trick that I learned about a while ago that I think helps a lot in a few different styles of interiors. Mainly modern, cozy interiors, but hey, I'm sure it can work in other ways too. Here are a few examples of what I'm talking about. Brick is definitely my favorite for this kind of baseboard design, but deep slate, bone blocks, and stone bricks can be pretty good as well. If you're making an old-timey medieval building, you could even have a 2 or 3 block high baseboard. At this point, it's more of a lower wall section than less of a baseboard, but whatever. Don't forget to mix up the textures though, or else it's not gonna look great. 7. Know a few basic interior designs by heart that you really like. Let's run through a few of my favorite furniture designs that you can use in your interiors. Most of these have been featured in my build hacks series and they're all survival friendly. Check it out. Here's a couch made out of stairs, full blocks, and slabs. I like using a smoother, warmer material like red sandstone or acacia wood. Here's a keg on a stool that would be perfect in a bar, basement storage area, or maybe even a big kitchen cabinet. And here's my personal favorite bathroom design. We've got a floor of concrete, walls made out of quartz, and here's how you make this dope mirror. Take a white banner and your loom, add a light blue gradient like this, and then add a black border around the edge. Boom, you got a cool mirror. If it's too big, then just put it down by 1 block. Don't forget that the bottom half of the banner can just go into a block without any problems. 8. Yeah, we're not done yet. Greenery pretty much always improves the feel of an interior. I mean, this is probably something you know already, but you gotta throw in some greenery if you want your interior to be cozy, inviting, and just pretty. This can be as simple as a pot with a plant in it, or you can get more creative. I really like these designs for hanging plants. They fit really nicely in a corner or outside your front door. If you're making a bigger space, then there's always these large potted plants. I learned about this one a little while ago, and it is really dope. You can just put a moss block or an azalea leaf on top of an azalea, and you've got this really cool plant. Check it out. 9. A bit of clutter can be good, but not too much. Just like in tip number 1 when we talked about balance, the same idea applies here but with detail. You don't want to have no detail because then everything is bland, but too much detail is going to make your build confusing to the eye. Like, no one is going to think this looks good, but this is going to give people anxiety. When you walk into a room, try putting more color and detail in places that you want the player to have their attention drawn to. Got a really cool decoration piece? Put some extra detail or movement around it to make sure that anyone else who comes by will notice it first. 10. The light source you use matters a lot. Every Minecraft player starts off by spamming torches everywhere. We've all done it, there's nothing to be ashamed of, let's just all admit it and we can move on, okay? But let's be honest, torches everywhere gives off some major Minecraft noob kind of vibes. We can do better. For medieval or rustic builds, try candles, campfires, and lanterns. Or if you really want to use a torch, you can put it in an item frame and make this cool little torch holder. For modern builds, try hiding your light under carpets or making a lamp out of end rods. Sea lanterns or shroom lights behind a trapdoor can look pretty good too. And for a sci-fi kind of vibe, it's all about the end rods and the sea lanterns. Don't be afraid to show off your end rods because they look very futuristic. 11. If you really want to make the best interiors, you gotta go for form over function. It's an unfortunate fact, but it's really hard to make an interior that looks great and also is just as functional as one that isn't. Like, check this out. This looks really cool, but there's no way that this is gonna be as convenient or efficient for playing survival Minecraft as, this. If you want the best interiors, it's important to accept the fact that you either A, won't be able to live in it, or B, if you do try and live in it, it's going to be more difficult than living among giant walls of storage. That's okay though, there's nothing wrong with having a dedicated storage room and making the rest of your house more for show. You just need to ditch the traditional Minecraft survival idea of having different rooms for different purposes. You can try to have a room for crafting, a room for smelting, a room for enchanting, brewing, storage, animals, sleeping, etc, 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 but if you want to make these look good, they're going to be in very different styles. Alrighty fellas, that's about all the tips I've got. I really hope that you guys found these useful, informative, and all of that other lovely stuff. If you did, why don't you wander on over to that subscribe button and give it a little tap. It would really help me out. And of course, if you're listening to this, thank you, my dude. Watching to the end of my videos is literally the best thing you can do to support me, hands down. Until next time, this has been Leon, and I'll see you all in the next 7 Quick Tips video. Peace.